Yes, what's happening, people? Hope you're all well. Big up to you all for getting in here so early, and for listening to the previous content. As ever, I'm your host tonight, Dan Potts. Arsenal Roundabout is back. I've got Kenny Ken in the house. I've got Northside with me. I've got True Gunners TV, Brandon, and Igal's going to be joining in about half hour. He's going to be a little bit late, but he is coming, people. So make sure that you are staying tuned for that. Gentlemen, it's absolute pleasure having you on as always. Before we get started, people, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure that you go to Surfshark VPN, which is pinned into the comments. All you got to do is click the link and make sure that you get yourself sorted with Surfshark, which is what we are all about at the moment. Let's talk a little bit about Arsenal, shall we? We're going to talk a little bit about Gabriel being injured. Could talk a little bit about the fact that Michael Owen is talking nonsense yet again. I don't believe that guy has actually still got a job. It's mad. He's like the opposite of articulate, Michael Owen. And Julian Timber returns, apparently. And there's also some other injury news as well. Internationals are back. Big up to a gal. You come nice and early, my bro. I didn't expect to see you this early, but big up, man. You're always welcome. How are you, mate?
Yeah, man. Little boys asleep. What is it, like the 8th day of Ramadan or something? I feel like it's been going by quickly. But yeah, man, it's been great, man.
Love, man. Absolute love. No, I love to have you, all of you here, man. Right, let's get into it. This Gabriel injury. Northside, let me go a different order, man. Let's start with you. What's this Gabriel injury, man? Is this a serious one? Is this just like him pulling out and saying, let's just make sure I'm fit for City? Are you worried or concerned? Like, what have you heard, bro?
No, I heard it's a precaution, but there shouldn't be any panic because we've got enough versatile players on the bench. So even if he's out, we've got enough to cover. Is that not what we always told? We got enough to cover, so no panic, please. No panic. You know what I'm saying? Whether he's there or not, we got enough to cover. So yeah, hopefully it is just a precaution. If it is, I think that's the right thing for the club to do to protect the player. There's no need for him to go out on international duty. It's friendlies, I believe, anyway. So yeah, man, for the betterment of Arsenal, I hope he stays fit. And yeah, we have him available. But I'm hearing it's a precaution. I don't know if anybody else has heard different.
Miguel?
I'll tell you this. I pretty much think the same thing because let's be honest, these guys are pretty much. If I'm not mistaken, Gabriel Magalhaes and all these guys were training. Was Gabriel Magalhaes in training with them? Was he photographed with them? I don't think so. So we're finally learning the dark arts that Pep Guardiola does when he has players in the title race late in the season and he knows this international break is useless. He doesn't send his players. He doesn't send his players. And you know what? Gabriel Jesus is not gone. Tomiyasu's not gone. Partey's not gone. Gabriel Magalhaes is not gone. I'm happy with this. I like this. I think this is only positive. And if we were playing tomorrow versus Man City or Liverpool or anybody else, best believe Gabriel Magalhaes is going to be available. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about. If there was, best believe the stories coming out of Arsenal would be much more like negative from some of the journalists. But the fact that they've all relatively been like, oh, he's just missing Brazil, it shows me that it's not as negative as you think. So yeah. I fully agree with Northside there. I don't know how many times you're going to hear me say that.
I love that, man. Well, listen, we can agree on that. I think it is this, Brandon. I mean, if it was to be serious, that's a big injury, man. He's been our best defender this year, in my opinion. And like Northside said, tongue-in-cheek there, we've got enough versatile players. I'm not so sure, man. I mean, Kivior would probably come in there, Tomiyasu at left back or Zinchenko. I hope this ain't serious, man, because we'll miss Gabriel, Brandon.
100%. We was only speaking about this last week, Dan. You know, the two centre-backs are going to be very integral to Arsenal potentially winning something this season, whether that be the league or the Champions League. We need both of them to stay fit. So, you know, if it's a precautionary measure, cool, I'm all for that. I'm all for Arsenal protecting the player. I think it's the right move to make. You know, if it ends up being a serious situation where, you know, he is out for a few weeks or whatever, then you have to kind of question, have we done enough in the transfer window? And I think we all know the answer to that. It's a flat no, really. You know, Northside with his cheeky little, we've got enough versatile players. I think we all can sit here and say, look, if Gabriel or Saliba ends up injured, then our season is pretty much over because then, like I say, them two plus Declan Rice have been integral to how well this Arsenal team has defended this season. and defensively has been our strong point. At times our attack hasn't been that great. At times we've had to kind of, we've had to kind of, I don't know how to put it. We've had to kind of scrape through games with, our attackers scoring last-minute goals, etc., etc. But the one thing that's been consistent so far this season is our defence. And like I say, Gabriel and Saliba, Gabriel in particular, I agree with what you said, Dan. I think he's been our best defender for the last 12 months. They've been integral to how well we've defended. And I think when you look at, our defence, I think that's the one thing that I can kind of point to and say, maybe we could win the league this season. Because the thing with Arsenal compared to Liverpool and Man City is with them two as our centre-backs, with Declan Rice in front, with the defence that we currently got, and the way that we're showing a lack of, conceding chances, etc., against other teams as well. That's the one thing that I look at and think, yeah, that's our strong point. That could potentially win us the league, because they do say that there's an old saying, goals win you games, defences win you leagues. And we need Gabriel and Saliba for the remainder of this season.
Yeah, facts, we do. And Kenny, last season we lost one of them. In fact, we lost two of them. People forget Tomiyasu went down as well as Saliba. And we struggled, if I'm honest, after that. Rob Holding, a player that can't even get in the Crystal Palace side, we tried to win a title with this guy. Do you know what I'm saying? So this season we need to keep Gabriel and Saliba fit, man. And I'm going to say this now, Ken. I think Gabriel is one of the most underappreciated players by Arsenal fans. I don't think we put him in the same bracket as Saliba. I'm not quite sure why. And the reason I say that is because as much as I understand the attributes are different and that Saliba is definitely more of a ball playing, the centre half, you need a monster next to him. I remember when Van Dijk was alongside Gomez and Matip, and we always looked at Van Dijk, but Gomez and Matip that season, they were fantastic and never mentioned. And I kind of feel like it's the same with Gabriel. And I don't know why that is, Ken. I don't know why that is.
No, I think what it is that when you look at Saliba, I think when you look at certain players, just look at the ceilings. You think, right, this guy there's levels that this player can go to. And you look at Gabriel and you see dependable, very, like I said, very good in the air, like a monster in defence. You think, right, that's it. That's the level we think he's reached his potential. But I think with Saliba, we give him more flowers because there's more to come. I really generally believe there's more to come from him, like Saliba, in terms of like at the moment we're seeing the fact that, he wins a lot of his duels, got great recovery pace, getting a bit better on the ball, but we think that there's levels we think he could go to, he could be like really top class. He can go that whole way. But in terms of like Gabriel as well, I said last season he was our best performing centre half, and it hasn't changed. I never said he's our best centre half. I said he's the best performing centre half because of the point I just made. That I think there's levels that I think Saliba can go to. Even now that we've only just seen probably like between 20 and 40% of his true at the moment. I think there's probably another good few percentages, maybe 50%, 60% more that is coming as long as he keeps fit, as long as hopefully he's ours when he does reach those levels. You know what I mean? But in terms of like Gabriel, the thing with Gabriel is that I'm hearing rumours that he's got a sore Achilles tendon and that, they want to keep him out for 2 weeks. But it is, like a good business by Arsenal because you've got to think about it now. The games are coming thick and fast. We have to look at it this way. We're going to be playing games every 2 and 3 days. It's just going to happen. So with the international game, you think about it, Brazil are playing England. That's going to be a really big game at Wembley. It's going to be intense. Even though it's a friendly, it's England. And then after they play England, they've got to play Spain. Again, 2 top sides. Wherever you think of England were runners up in the last tournament. Spain are Spain. I still regard Spanish football as the highest. They got to the semis of the Euros as well. And they won their League of Nations. They've got a conveyor belt of players. Brazil's a big draw for them. So Brazil, with their forming their South American qualifiers for the World Cup, they're going to need a bit of confidence building by getting good results in those 2 games. So they're going to be intense, and you don't want Gabriel, if he's got a sore Achilles, to be part of that, because we need him for Arsenal. Because think about it, Man City, then Luton, then Brighton, then Bayern, then Villa, then it's going to be Bayern again, then Wolves, and then I'm hearing rumours that the Chelsea game's going to be a few days after Wolves, and then Spurs will be on Super Sunday, the 28th. Where's the rest? There's going to be no rest. And if we get to like the semis of the Champions League, the weekend after the midweek after Spurs is going to be the first leg. So we need.
We gotta start using our squad. We gotta start.
Yeah. That the rotation is going to be very, very important. And I think when you look at the quality you have in defence and midfield, I don't think you're too worried in defence. In midfield, it's touch and go. But when it gets to the front three, and you look at the kind of quality to go back on, there's not really much quality there. You only have to, the case example was last week. In extra time, there were certain players you think, right, let's just use the players on their last legs. But you're looking at the bench and thinking, well, he doesn't trust this guy, doesn't trust Nelson, doesn't trust Smith Rowe. So, again, I think moving forward next season, that is an area that Arsenal have to improve. I think that's more of a priority than probably a striker, is to get players who can genuinely push the first team for their first 11 for their positions. Because if we're going to be that kind of club that's going to be involved in winning the Champions League in the league, and maybe having that kind of discussion Liverpool have every 2 years to quadruple, you're going to need a better quality squad. And not just numbers, but genuine quality. So, yeah, you're right. Use the squad. But at the moment, you and I know that Mikel doesn't trust a lot of these players. Especially
I don't think it's a trust issue. I just think it's a situation where he hasn't really needed to make too many changes at certain times.
Well, yeah. But does he trust Eddie? From what you've seen,
he trusted Eddie to play. He trusted Eddie to play when Jesus was injured. It's just it got to a point where Trossard.
He's looked at Leonardo Trossard.
No. That's what it is.
Season,
you know what it is?
It was Eddie.
When he trusted Eddie to start up top, Eddie did not continue to show and warrant to start. Hence why. Trossard came in, and now you're 1 second. When we're speaking about trust, I don't think we're looking at the third, fourth choice guys like Reece Nelson. He's way down the pecking order. You look at Eddie Nketiah. He's technically third down the pecking order. You look at guys like Cavior at this moment in time, he's one of the starting left backs. You're not going to be looking at him as a second, third choice center back at this moment in time. So
if Gabriel gets injured, though, if Gabriel gets injured, he's a light replacement for Gabriel, because he is left-footed in that sort of position.
But Ken, my point is,
left back.
You only really need three or four pieces off the bench that you can trust. You don't necessarily need 7 off the bench that you're going to be playing week in, week out. Even Man City's bench. You look past the 2 world-class players on their bench. The rest is
but again, Man City over the years and Liverpool this season, they haven't just put their eggs into like the Champions League and League. Liverpool, we were talking about quadruples until Diallo went and went into the pool and did something he shouldn't have done in Liverpool's pool. Last season, Man City were talking about trebles. You look at Man City's bench. From 1 to 11, there is players who he can trust and who could do a job for him. Liverpool, despite the fact they haven't got this year. Forget Man City. What Liverpool then? We've written Liverpool. Well, I haven't written Liverpool. You have. That's another discussion. But these lads have come in, and the quality hasn't changed. The level of performance hasn't changed. The results hasn't changed. We haven't got that at the moment, and that's why it's very important moving forward. We do get that kind of level of play. At the moment, you can't say that in extra time when we're running at empty, fresh players like 2 years ago, we were singing that Wretch's song, Saka and Aaron Smith Rowe. Well, we haven't had to sing it because Aaron Smith Rowe is way down the pecking order. You can't say trust Aaron Smith Rowe if you need that bit of je ne sais quoi, and you think Emil's got that. He didn't get on last week. Didn't even get anywhere near it.
You don't
So
trust
you've got-
Eddie. You don't trust Eddie.
Does he
either.
trust him?
You don't trust Eddie either.
No,
because
but we don't need Eddie. Jesus is fit. We don't need to worry
Yeah,
about
but
Reece Nelson.
but the point I'm
Because
getting
Trossard
to
is there.
Yeah, but the point I'm getting to, Miguel, right, is yeah, he played Trossard ahead of Nketiah, right? But when Jesus wasn't fit and Eddie was on the bench, he wasn't even bringing him off the bench.
But that's
certain
irrelevant.
points.
That's
No,
irrelevant.
but that it just shows, right? It just
Except for
shows.
Porto when he
No,
threw
but
him on and
Brendan,
no one understood why.
Brendan,
Yeah.
Brendan, I don't care about my fourth choice striker. If I'm a team in the title race, thinking about squad depth,
Yeah,
do I care about my fourth choice
Miguel,
striker?
if
No.
we end up having to use the squad, then you will care, my friend.
Bro, our squad is almost fully fit in March. We have Jesus back. We have Trossard back. We have Thomas Partey back. We have Timber back. Why are we stressing ourselves about Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah? Let's get back to priorities.
Yeah. And anyway, on the Gabriel thing, right? I just wanted to say on the Gabriel thing as well. If we was to lose Gabriel, I'm gonna make a statement now that maybe you might agree with, you might not. But if we was to lose Gabriel for any length of period, I think that would be worse than losing Saliba like we did last season. I think that would be a worse situation, not just because of the fact that he's, an integral part in defence, but one thing that has also been very good for Arsenal this season is set pieces. And Gabriel from set pieces is normally the guy who gets on the end of them. He's scored a lot of goals for us this season as well from that standpoint as well. So if we was to lose Gabriel, we not only lose the defensive side of the game, but who's the threat from set pieces now? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you got Havertz, you got other players there, but Gabriel has been the one who's been getting on the end of these. So yeah, we can't.
We have 18 goals from set pieces. You can't tell me every goal is from Gabriel Magalhaes.
Not every goal, but when you see crosses going in the box, yeah, when it's from corners, free kicks, whatever, 9 times out of 10, Gabriel is on the end of them. Not necessarily scoring, but he's on the end of them.
I agree with you. And if you were to ask me my player of the season, which I don't know if you're going to do, I think Gabriel is going to be one of those candidates that is going to be top of that list. But one thing I want to do is, when we're talking about issues, guys, let's not try to manufacture issues with what if scenarios. Let's look at the situation we have right now. Gabriel Magalhaes, if he was injured, Northside said it himself, we have enough cover. Timber's come back, Tomiyasu's back, KVR is here. We have Ben White, who can also play as a center back. We have Saliba, who has played the most minutes out of all of our players in the Premier League this season, who's also another player who can play multiple positions. We have enough cover in defense. If you guys are worried about a position, it might actually be higher up the pitch. And people are saying if Saka gets injured, guess what? If Saka gets injured, play Jesus on the right. Havertz has showed he can be a striker, and also Trossard can be a striker. If we have issues in the midfield, guess what? Thomas Partey is back. If I'm not mistaken, Kenny, you say Thomas Partey, ability-wise, is our best player. So we have cover in multiple positions.
Stand
Guys,
by that.
There's no need to panic. There's how many days until our next game? Closer to that game, we'll actually know if he's actually out. At this moment in time, I just believe, guys, we finally mastered the dark arts, and get used to it, because we're going to see this more often for the foreseeable future. When there's international break north side, and you see Bukayo Saka is a little bit limping in the game versus Brentford, Gareth Southgate, you can't pick him this week. You can't. And then that's what's going to have to happen going forward.
He never says no to Saka. He never says no when Saka's been
I get it why. I get it why they don't want to. I get why they don't want to, because it's just before international break. But you know what? Big balls from Ben White doing what he did.
Come on,
that's
not big balls. That's self-harming. That's self-harming. That's not big balls. Self-harming.
How are you saying that we're mastering the dark arts? How did we master the dark arts, Cigar? Please elaborate.
Okay, because this is the early signs of starting to pick up what other teams have been doing for the longest time, Northside. Pep Guardiola, any time that there's a little niggle or some sort of issue with Haaland, he says, Norway, it doesn't matter, you got a qualifier for the Euros. He's not going. And then he doesn't end up going. You got a situation with any player. The day before a game before international break, all of a sudden a bunch of players are out. They weren't actually injured, and then somehow are.
Oh, you're talking about team
ready to go.
selection. I thought you were talking about Porto. Oh, I was gonna say.
I'm not talking about Porto. I'm not talking about the dirty side of the game, like
that's the dark cards I'm thinking about.
Nah,
Okay.
I'm talking about making sure your team is ready to go for the biggest game of the season against Man City and getting them staying home instead of going on international duty.
No. That one I hear that one. But yeah, you're talking up a lot about this team that Mikel Arteta didn't use in the first leg when we were struggling and we lost 1-0 against Porto. In the second leg, we're still not dominating. We still can't get over the tie. And he's still taken to 83rd minute to make a sub and trust that bench you said that are so versatile and we can bring on and can do a job. It's funny how he reacts when we need the bench to come on and offer us something different. He always delays to bring off that bench he says he trusts. But when we're blitzing teams like Burnley, Newcastle, winning these games, West Ham, he brings them on really quickly. So that goes to show you how he really feels about that bench. He trusts them to see out a game, but when he's stuck, he don't trust these players. He doesn't make substitutions fast enough. He doesn't bank on them to get him out of jail. He banks on the starting lineup players to get him out of jail. And when they're not getting him out of jail, he does it when he's forced, when his hand is forced, not because it's a tactical decision or because he thinks a player of the bench can offer something different to get us over the line. Let's keep it real. You really trust your bench. You don't wait to the 83rd minute.
But guess what? Northside, with everything you just said, who has the most goal contributions off the bench in the Premier League? Arsenal Football Club. Who has 18 goal contributions off the bench? Arsenal Football Club. This bench that you guys continuously say is not good enough, that the manager doesn't trust, well, they seem to be contributing a lot to victories. They seem to be contributing a lot to players coming off the bench and helping us win games. Biggest game of the season, Thomas Partey passes it to Kai Havertz, two players who came off the bench, squares it for
First of all, I haven't seen the stat to really say that is true. Second of all, I actually have the stat. When things go sideways, you can't debate that. The first leg, we're only 1-0 down. We're only 1-0 down. He only makes one substitution. That's not trust in the bench. I'm sorry, you can't call that trust in the bench.
Statistically,
in the second half. And then in the second leg, the penalties got us over the line, not the bench. And he was adamant to not make changes. And he was forced to make changes because we're trying to get through. And he's making changes in the 80th minute. When things go sideways is when you'll see what this manager's really about in terms of tactics and in terms of his substitutions. And you cannot say when things have gone wrong that he has trusted this bench. He has not trusted this bench again.
You want to know something, Northside?
You may trust it, but he hasn't.
Northside, you want to know something? Your statistics tell you you're wrong. Because he actually has the most goal contributions off the bench in the Premier League. So statistically, it says that Mikel Arteta trusts his bench more than any other team in the league, based on the fact that they've contributed the most. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it's not that he trusts them the most. Maybe he's gotten the best out of his bench. So when you're talking about the Pep Guardiolas, the Klopps, all these other managers, they have not gotten more out of their bench than Arteta has this season in the Premier League. Now let's go to Porto.
I think you're wrong there, because when you look at Liverpool, when they talk about the amount, they said Liverpool scored about 118 goals this season. In the second half of matches, 3/4 of those goals in the second half of matches. Now, invariably, those players have come and made a difference off the bench. So you could talk about City, but you can be challenged when you talk about Liverpool. They're on the same kind of par. If you're going by the stats that we got goal contributions from ourselves, well, look at Liverpool as well. You can't discount. You can't just say it's just Arsenal. It's still very, very close to call between all three teams. There's no favourites for me. Who when it comes to who's going to win the league, no club can afford to drop points. We had a discussion about a few weeks ago when I said 0, some people said 4. Trust me, right now, state of play. No, we can't afford to drop any points. It's too close to call between all three teams. All of them, for me, are three very, very, very good teams and all deserved winners potentially to win this league. No margin for error. It's so close. You know what I mean? Everyone's got different strengths, but the attributes you just mentioned about, you refer to us, Liverpool can, fans can have the same sort of argument as well in terms of getting more their bench, because if you're talking about bench coming off and make contributions, yeah, they're up there. But if you're talking about when players are injured and they're relying on that bench to come and make a difference, well, The eye test says they have. Look at the League Cup final. Look at Nottingham Forest. All right. Look at Nottingham Forest. Look at all these games that you thought, right, these kids can't do it. They've come and done it. And Man City was even the biggest litmus test of all. They had kids on that in that match, and they outplayed Man City in that second half. If you want to even look at the game against Man United, that game was theirs for the taking. Had Salah actually passed the ball when he should have, they'll probably be on for that quad. I think all three teams can argue and think, you know what? If we win that league, be it Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Man City, we can have our chests out and say, you know, we bloody well deserve it, because for a long, long time I haven't seen this amount of quality from three contenders for years, and I haven't seen a situation where there's nothing between them. I can't think of any weakness that Arsenal has at this moment. I can't think of weakness of City or Liverpool. It's so close to call.
Can I just say though, the one thing I do disagree with what you said, Agal, was the bench, we only need a couple of players to come on. Like, I disagree with that, man, because you said that there's 2 or 3 players that can come on, and we can definitely talk about the impact subs that Arsenal have had this season in some of the players that we've got, right? But would you rather be bringing on Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson, or would you rather say, do you know what, we can upgrade on both of those? They're not quite it. We've spoken about El Nenis and Cedrics. I know they've not really appeared much at the moment. They can be upgraded upon. So, like, if your bench at the moment has got 2 or 3 players on it that can come on and impact, surely there's more than that Arsenal can do. We don't have these Nelsons and even Smith Rowe, who's not getting a look in at the moment. Eddie and Nketiahs, these are the guys that we need to upgrade. So they're currently sitting on our bench right now. I think we can upgrade on that for sure in the summer, Agal.
One second. Simply, let me ask you, when City are looking to bring a player off the bench, is the first person people mention Sergio Gomez? When Liverpool are looking at talking about their bench, is the first person people talk about Bobby Clark? Why are we talking about the bottom of our bench when we're talking about our bench? Why don't we actually talk about the big fish on our bench? Why don't we talk about the Jesus?
Because there isn't as many. There hasn't been as many available to us on our bench, bro.
Right now, we have big fish on our bench, bro. We don't need to worry about Eddie Nketiah, because if Martinelli is fit, Trossard's on the bench and Jesus is on the bench. If Martinelli is not fit, you still have Jesus on the bench as an option, or Trossard, one of them, right? So why are we talking about Eddie when it comes to Reece Nelson?
We do now. But what happens if we get injuries? This is what I'm saying. Like, it's fine when everyone's fit. When everyone's fit, we're cool. We've got a great bench. But we're never going to have that, man. So I guarantee you now, right? Everyone's fit. I guarantee you a couple come back from international break.
But everything is relative. Did you look at the bench for the Liverpool Man City game? City on their bench, the only difference makers they had were who? Oscar Bob to come on?
Who came on against Newcastle and won the game for us.
One second. Yeah, Eddie Nketiah scored a hat-trick. We don't talk about it anymore. Big deal. Then you have Liverpool. Liverpool's bench. Did you see Liverpool's bench versus City? They had absolutely nobody. They had Bobby Clark, James McConnell, Tsimikas. Like, when we talk about our bench, we say all doom and gloom. But when you actually look compared to other people, we're in good stead.
So you don't think we need it much in the summer then?
No. You can always improve in the summer. That's not what I'm saying. At this moment in time,
that is what I'm saying.
No. You can always improve. That's not a question. I would want Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson to be moved on in the summer. But I'm saying the quality that we have in our team at this moment in time is good enough and is on par with other teams. Maybe they have more world-class status players, but when you look at the benches on any given match day, our bench is just as good as anybody else's.
Anyone disagree with that?
Bro, I can't even believe that you're even saying that. I can't even believe that you're even saying that. It's actually mad. It's actually mad. Can
I show you my exhibit A?
Bro, man, I just started talking.
No. Let Northside say his point, man. Bring up what you want to, though, go, and I'll bring it up if you want. But let Northside say his point, man. Come on.
I ain't even got the strength today to argue. I can't even lie. I'm just gonna say this. Look, Egal, I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Egal, this is still the majority. About 90% of this bench is still the bench that this fan base said is a light bench. Let's not start moving the goalpost now because things are looking okay at the moment. This bench still ain't good enough. If you need a goal, Nketiah doesn't guarantee you a goal. If you need a goal, Jesus does not guarantee you a goal. We've already seen his tally at Arsenal and his previous tally at Man City. He's not a goal scorer. Neither striker option is a goal scorer. The main one we go to on the bench is Trossard. Let's keep it real, bro. That is the main one that we say is quality. Partey, I'll give you Partey. Our midfield options, Fabio Vieira has never been consistent. Neither is ESR. So neither four of those players are good enough. Reece Nelson isn't good enough. Listen, I don't think Pepe was good enough, but I've seen Pepe do more for this club than Reece Nelson's ever done. Do you know what I'm saying? I've never even seen Reece Nelson have a great loan spell like we saw with Balogun out in the League One. So these players we don't truly rate. Let's keep it 100%. El Nene, we see how the fan base really feel about El Nene because since he's got his new contract and we got our new toy Declan Rice, nobody talks for El Nene to start. Nobody talks for El Nene to play. Cedric, we're trying to flog Cedric to Fulham for £25 million. That tells you everything you gotta say about him. So what are we talking about? None of this bench actually offer us anything when things go wrong. If you need a goal scorer, there's no proven goal scorer. At the end of the day, even when you're telling me we've got options, this manager, even last season, preferred to play Trossard through the middle than Nketiah. Do you know what I'm saying? The midfield is not that strong. It's really not that strong. ESR is looking worse and he's been unfit. Fabio Vieira is not a consistent impact sub. He was okay at the start of the season for 2-3 games. He come off of the bench. We've got a lot of players that are inconsistent. Jorginho, even though he's done well, Jorginho's never put 5, 6, 7 games consistently playing. He's a player that can come off the bench and do stuff, but he's on the wrong end of 30. Let's just keep it real. Defensively, yes, we have 1 or 2 options, but it's not that great, Agal. So it doesn't not make you an Arsenal fan to say this because the majority of this fans said this. The majority of this fan base said that's why we bottled the league. We've not changed that much on the bench. We've bought a CDM. We've got Trossard that was already on the bench last season. And we've got Kai Havertz, which is another player that is now playing as a striker that isn't a clutch player. He's not a clutch goal scorer. We didn't buy him as a 20-goal-a-season striker, so you can't guarantee he's going to score you goals. So then we're going to go with the narrative, oh, they offer you different things. End of the day, these players don't guarantee off the bench get you over the line, which is why I refer to when things went but sideways, they didn't get us through and over the line. And this manager didn't look at that bench and say, you know what? Come off the bench. We need you to win the game. Come win me the game. He doesn't trust them. So I don't understand why you're adamant to be honest about it, that this bench isn't that great. Doing a job, we need more than doing a job. We need to get over the line. We need to win major honours. We should no longer be in the situation that is, oh, this player can do a job. It's not about do a job. It's can this player get me over the line now? Because if we're talking that we are title contenders, that is the level that we need. And there's nothing off that bench that guarantees me anything. There's no creativity. There's no one that's going to guarantee me goals. So what are we talking about? And you're talking about Owen Nketiah, he scored a hat-trick. Bro, where's he been since? Because he has had games. He has had times he come off the bench. I don't rate Havertz, but Havertz has actually he's done more than Nketiah. Trossard, the one that's been moved the most out of the front three, he's come off the bench and impacted games more than Nketiah. How come Nketiah hasn't scored or done anything to affect this team and warrant starting in the starting lineup since he scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United? You're being disingenuous, bro. The guy ain't good enough. How much longer do we need to hold on to him? And a lot of these players that we've seen year in, year out ain't good enough. I don't get it.
Can I just say, before you come back in, I'll bring the lads in, right? I understand what Northside's saying, but I also understand the point you made about this bench being stronger at Gal. Totally agree, because we've got players back now, right? So that's just facts. When Timber comes back, when Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Jesus, Havertz, we've mentioned these guys, some of which are going to be on that bench. I totally agree with you. But I can't sit there and say that Northside's not talking sense when he says we're at Porto and we're at home and we need a goal and we're flinging on Eddie, who hasn't kicked a ball for God knows how long. So there's definitely some problems still, in my opinion, with the squad that clearly needs upgrading. And I do think that if there's a couple injuries, we're going to be flinging on Eddie and Reece again before we know it. And that's my biggest problem and concern, man. So I'll let you come back in, then I'll go to Brandon and Kenny.
Okay, to be fair, against Porto, it was 106th minute we put Eddie Nketiah on. And at that point, you're chasing the game. You're trying to put on your best like goal scorers or shooters in case you need to go to your 10th or 8th penalty. So I don't necessarily think it's that big of an issue. We got through Porto. at this point of the season, you just need to get through in those cup competitions. It doesn't matter how you do it. We seen Inter last year go to the last seconds with Porto also, and they went to a Champions League final. So it's like, if we get to a Champions League final, we're not going to speak about that fact that it took 120 minutes to beat Porto. When it comes to our bench, guys, I'm not saying you can't improve on our bench. I'm just merely saying it's not all doom and gloom. When we look at our bench, you don't have to. The first name you have to look at is not Eddie Nketiah anymore. The first name you have to look at is not, what do you call it, Fabio Vieira anymore. The first name, not what you're looking at, is not El Neni anymore. We had unused substitutes against Porto. We had Tomiyasu, Partey, both unused substitutes. They would have made a difference in majority of the games throughout the season if we brought them off the bench. We also brought on Jesus, which you guys didn't mention. We brought on Zinchenko, who was also a key part to our team last year. So we've upgraded in starters, and we now move them to the bench. Clearly, our bench is stronger. That's all I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying our bench is a world beater and we're the best bench in the world. I'm just saying, guys, let's not sit here and act like our bench is Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson and that's it.
Okay, listen, Brandon, I'll bring you in because I do think that Gagal's made some good points there to back up why he believes the bench is not as weak as possible. But whether we believe it's strong or weak or whatever, man, we're going to need it because we've got some unbelievable games coming up that are going to be within 2-3 days of each other. Some probably, let's be real, from April onwards now. Soon as we get back from the international break, it's City, it's Bayern Munich coming up. We're talking about Spurs, Man United. We're going to need a fit squad, and we spoke about that Friday. Julian Timber is apparently rumoured to be coming back. Do we expect to see much from this kid, or is it just way too much pressure for a lad that's been out for, 9 months or whatever? What are we expecting from our actual squad players? Thomas Partey you can throw in there as well, because we haven't seen much of him yet, mate. And I think these players, we need everyone, man. We need all hands on deck if we're going to go for something this season in terms of a trophy, bro.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Thing is with a fully fit squad like what we've got, which is good. We're going to learn more about Mikel Arteta now. I think, he has to rotate. There's no question about that. If we're to go far in the Champions League, if we're to go far in the Premier League, both competitions there, yeah, we've already read out the fixtures that we've got sandwiched in between them Champions League games. We've got Spurs away still. We've got to go to Manchester City. We've got, to play Aston Villa, who we lost to earlier on in the season. We've still got to play Chelsea, who went 2 goals up against us earlier on in the season as well. So there's some tough games that are sandwiched in between these Champions League games. In Europe, it's a little bit different because, as we see against Porto, sometimes you have to rely on your bench to win you the game. Sometimes, it's not just a case of throwing out your first 11, saying to them, look, go out, win me the game. Sometimes you have to rely on the players that are on the bench. And it's going to be very important that Mikel Arteta makes the right decisions at the right time. None of this bringing on substitutions in the 83rd minute because I don't trust in the players that I've got on the bench. None of this, I'm not going to rotate Saka because he's my most important player. I'm not going to rotate, whoever it may be, and then risk them potentially burning out or getting injured. I mean, it's an interesting one. It really is, because I think we'll all, have a little bit of an argument over, is Mikel Arteta a good enough manager? When I say manager, I mean, does he manage his squad properly? Is his in-game management, his tactics, as good as what it should be for a potential title-winning manager? I think we've still got question marks over that, and I think we're going to learn more about this in this running. So yeah, it's only good. It's only good that we've got a fully fit squad, and we're not necessarily having to rely on the Reece Nelsons, the Eddie Nketiahs, the players that we all know are simply not of the level at Arsenal. So it's good that we've got, or he's got, the players at his disposal that he can bring off the bench that will come on and hopefully make a difference and change the game. But what I would say is, with Jurriën Timber, he's been out all season. So, again, don't expect to see the Jurriën Timber that we saw in pre-season. because he's not going to be that. You know, at the end of the day, this guy's been out injured for a long period of time, you know, and I'll be very, very cautious about how, you know, Mikel Arteta integrates him back into the team. Very much the same thing with Thomas Partey. You know, we see him the other day. He came on. He looked very, very rusty. You know, the first pass that he made, he kicked it out for a throw-in. That's not like Thomas Partey. So, again, he's going to have to pick his moment, and he's going to have to really pick the right moments to give these players game time, you know, to get them back to full fitness so that we can get the best out of them, because we're going to need them. We're going to need them.
We're gonna make rotations eventually, but guys, just don't expect 100% performances from these rotated players. There's going to be moments where we're gonna go up against a Luton Town at home. You're going to see a couple rotations, a couple substitutions there. Maybe at Brighton away, that's where we take it a little bit more serious and we get ready for a battle. But the home games is where I expect a little bit more rotation, and we might not see the 10 out of 10 performance. We might actually get a game where we have to scrape by a lower side team, and you guys are going to be upset. But it's at the cost of protecting our players' health for the rest of the season.
Listen, Kenny, let me bring in a comment today by Michael Owen, who I think talks rubbish, by the way. I mean, he's the opposite. He's basically the opposite of articulate, in my opinion. Like, I understand what he's trying to say most of the time, but he comes out so much waffle, man. Unbelievable. Let me read out the comment he's made today. He's sitting there with Wrighty and a few of the others, and he shared his thoughts on the title race. He said, the old analogy that we've always been told is that the best team will win the league. We always get told this. Well, if somebody wins it this year on goal difference or by a point, are they the best? I don't necessarily think the best team are going to win it this year. I think the best team are Manchester City. I think the most exciting team to watch, however, are probably Liverpool. But the best team, proven it for years, are now Man City. But it won't necessarily be the best team who wins the league. It might be Arsenal. What the hell is this guy going on about? Number one. And question number two, I have to say, this guy's come out with some absolute clown stuff. I can only think what he's trying to say is Man City are the best team right now. And if Liverpool win the league, I've seen better Liverpool teams win a league than this one. If Arsenal win the league, I've seen better Arsenal teams win the league.
Did
than
he
this
say
one.
Liverpool are playing the best football?
He says Liverpool are the best to watch at the moment, apparently.
Is he stupid?
Ex-Liverpool
Well,
player, isn't he? He's an ex-Liverpool player, so yeah, he's going to be
and he's
definitely
desperate to get in Liverpool's good books again because of how he left them and went to United and all that. That's what I think.
Look,
It's
let me tell you
because he
something
has
about
no
Mark
hope.
Owen. Let me tell you something, Mark Owen. Mark Owen was never a Liverpool legend. One, they love Robbie Fowler too much, and two, Mark Owen was always seen by Liverpool fans as Mark Owen of England, rather than Mark Owen, the darling of the cop, because of, you know, the World Cup in 1998. He was a nation's darling. You know what Scousers think about the English, don't you? Even, you know, they'll fight you if you call them English, some Scousers. So, you know, let's bury that one. In terms of like what he said, I said earlier in the podcast, there's nothing to call between you know, all three teams. They were all very, very good teams. They're all going to be deserving winners. So, you know, was he on the show with Wrighty?
Yeah.
Says it all then, innit? That either he believes it or he's just trying to wind up Wrighty, because he's watched all the three teams. Obviously, he's watched it from a nice warm studio. I've been you know, in stadiums, you know, in all weathers, and I can tell you now, from what I've seen, it's too close to call. It is too close to call. Whoever wins that title will fully deserve it and will go down as a very, very good football team. Because, as I said before, everyone's got their strengths. Everyone talks about Arsenal's defence. Brandon says defence win you the league. Well, we've got the best defence. You can't say we don't deserve it. Plus, we were smashing teams for fun in the last you know, couple of months. So you can't say we don't. Winning them 6-0 away twice and winning 5-0 away twice. You can't say scoring those volume of goals won't deserve to win the title. So that's, you know, put that one to bed. In terms of Liverpool entertaining watch, well, yeah, Liverpool playing the clock. You know, they play rock and roll football. So yeah, he's got a point. You know, it is fun watching Liverpool. because there are certain things they do that I think bloody hell, they're attacking in numbers and they're attacking at pace. Yeah, I love watching the football. I like my football to be played like that from an attacking point of view. But in terms of Man City, he's got a point. Man City are a very, very, very good team. They've set standards, especially since Pep's been there. But let's face it, they've been a top team since the Sheikhs bought the club. So he's got some really, really, really good points. But one thing I will say, and you won't agree with me, I just pray that we win the league because I'm a gooner. Because if Man City win it, as well as all three teams have participated, and as much as all three teams deserve it, I think it's a disaster for the Premier League. It's a disaster for the Premier League's reputation, self-appointed reputation, that they're saying that, oh, our league's the best in the world. Well, I'm sorry. If you want to call the league the best in the world, no team has won it 4 times in a row. You can't laugh at France when PSG win it every year, and then Bayern Munich win it every year in Germany, bar this season, and call it Farmers League. Well, Man City win it 4 years in a row. This is the Farmers League. So, in terms of what Michael says, look, Michael's a pork chop. Let's face it. The only reason why he's doing punditry, because let's just say he did something. He peed it all over the wall with his gambling and on the horses. I don't know. The only thing Michael Owen's done right in his life is not divorce his wife. Because if he divorced his wife, he'd be bankrupt. So that's the only good thing he's ever done. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that he scored 39 England goals, very good career. But apart from that, some people are pundits because they're damn well good at it, really good at it. Alan Hansen was a great pundit. Andy Gray's a great pundit. Mark Lawrence is a great pundit. And believe it or not, Carragher and Neville are good pundits. And some people do punditry because they need the dough. Michael Owen's probably.
Can I take it a step further? I want to take it a step further because Michael Owen, I mean, you said, Dan, that he don't know how to articulate himself. He's also very contradictory as well. Like he'll say one thing and then the next week he's saying another. He's got a bit. Every time Michael Owen is talking on TV, I mute my telly. It's as simple as that. He is one of the driest, most boring pundits I have ever known Sky Sports to ever have, ever. And I can't believe he's still got a job there because the guy is so dry. He's got no personality. And this isn't even because he made a dig at Arsenal. At the end of the day, right? Okay, Man City are the best team in world football. I think we all know that. They won the treble last year. It's blatantly obvious that Man City are the best team in world football. But if Liverpool or Arsenal win it, then you have to kind of say, cool, Man City are the best team in world football because they won the treble. But they're not the best team this season in terms of the Premier League because either Arsenal or Liverpool would have deserved to win the league, like Kenny said. I mean, like Kenny was saying, he was a great striker, Michael Owen, especially for England. But yeah, one of the most boring, useless pundits I've ever known. The only thing that he's got going about him at the moment is that his daughter's quite fit. So
Did you guys notice? Did you guys notice this though? He's playing the game where no matter what happens, he's predicted it. He's trying to basically cover his ass. So if City win, I told you they're the best team. If Liverpool win, I told you they're playing the most entertaining football. If Arsenal win, I told you the team that's not supposed to win is going to win. So either way, he's covered all his bases in one statement. So you might think he's not articulating himself well, but he's sitting on the fence harder than anybody else in the history of football. That's what he's doing. He's literally sitting on the fence.
Let me tell you why no one should even entertain this guy. Right, I did this earlier on the terrace. It went down quite well with the chat, so I hope it does it again. I'm going to read you some of the stuff this guy said before, some of his quotes, and they are real, by the way. They are absolutely real. This come out of this geezer's mouth. It's a good run, but it's a poor run, if you get what I mean. That's one of his quotes. The next one, footballers these days often use their feet a lot. That's another one that he said. This one is one of my favourites. What a shot. Completely unstoppable, that. But the keeper's got to do better. The next one, he's elbowed him in the head there, but nothing in it for me. What one is it then? And this one,
Where are you
which
reading this from? I need to see
I
this image.
absolutely love. I will send you the link. This one is class. That would have been a goal if had it had gone inside the post.
What the hell?
Right? These are actually real as well. This next one is an absolute classic. Whichever team scores the most goals usually wins.
That's how football works.
Right? And this guy's still got a job, by the way. He's still getting employed. This is a classic. That's a fantastic penalty. He'll be gutted it went wide.
What? How is it a fantastic penalty?
I
don't know,
honestly,
mate.
this is mad. And then this ball has hit the facial part of his head. His face?
His facial part.
The facial
Yes.
part of his body. And this one's a classic. When you don't score goals, you hardly ever win.
Yo, guys, I don't know if you guys watch other sports, but there's a guy in the NBA. He's a legend also. He's called Magic Johnson. He literally just tweets out the most obvious things. Are these tweets or did he actually say this?
This is actually commentary, Igal. So this is come out of his mouth on TV. This isn't tweets. This isn't written down. This is what he has said live on air when he's commentating on goals or he's been in the studio, whatever. And the last two, which are real, absolutely classics. When the ball is that still, it wobbles in the air.
There's
What
no way he could say
does
that.
he
There's no
mean?
way he could say these
Right?
absurd
Absolute
absurdities.
mentally. And
Is
then
he
the last
talking about
one.
the ball getting
which I think-
struck?
Say again.
What is he talking about? Someone stroked the ball and it wobbles?
Oh no, I've no idea. When your ball is that still, Michael Owen redefining the laws of physics. That's all it says. When it's that still, it's wobbling in the air. And the last one, which I love, which is that shot is absolutely impossible. I saw Yaya Toure do it once. Honestly, this guy is absolutely crazy. So I'm not going to really care about what this guy's on about. I've got to say.
I just hope, right, the BBC and ITV don't employ him. There's a few pundits, and you know who I don't want on the punditry teams of both BBC and ITV in the Euros. He's one of them. Others are so obvious, but we dare not mention them. Dan's going to get cancelled. I'm going to be called all sorts. I don't care because I
They
don't.
hired Jurgen Klopp.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
They hired Jurgen Klopp to cover Germany games.
Wow.
Well, he's got a lot of time in his hands, hasn't he?
Those always end up funny.
It does, man. Listen, Northside, let's come to you, my bro. We should be excited. April and May is going to be busy for Arsenal. Arsenal got their players back. It starts with a massive game at the Etihad. Do we have to win that game if we want to win the league, Northside?
Yeah, if we want to win the league, we've got to win every game. I think we should take a leaf out of the book of Man United when they faced Man City. For 56 minutes, Man City couldn't break them down, and they were pretty resilient. Man United only got put to the sword when they started opening up and tried to go forward. And you know that flipping football club is in a mess. To be fair, the way that they counterattack, but when they just sat back, everyone behind the ball. No one was in the game. Haaland wasn't seeing the ball. None of their players was doing anything. They were unable to break them down. We're obviously a better team. We counterattack a lot better. We've got better attackers going forward. So that's what we've got to do. We've done it before anyway. You know what I mean? That's what we normally do anyway. The deflection from Martinelli. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we just got to be resilient and try to catch them on the counter. And yeah, man, listen, I don't care how we beat them. Just beat them. That's what I care about, you know what I mean? But we're lucky as well that they still haven't found their form. I still feel Haaland is looking like a passenger a lot of games. Doku has been underwhelming. Yes, Foden has stepped up at certain times this season. But yeah, I think they're always moving around Foden and Bernardo. And I know Bernardo scored against Newcastle, but they're still not finding their feet. We also got to exploit the fact that Carl Walker's been, I think he's been very poor. I think he's done in terms of elite football at the elite level. I think he's done now, man. I think he's getting on. The amount of times I've seen him get done this season and individual mistakes from him. Listen, he was a great player on his day, but I think his time is done, and we need to exploit that. We need to use that to our advantage. And sometimes when they play the high line, we need to exploit that, because City have been giving up a lot of chances this season. They're a team that can get got at, and that's what we need to do. So we need to exploit that and make sure we keep Haaland out of the game, because Haaland got a half chance against Man United and he scored. So that's all that guy needs, is half a chance, and he will punish you. And he was absolutely ghosting that game. He's been ghosting a lot of games, to be honest. So yeah, we definitely got a chance. We definitely got a chance, and we've got good momentum at the moment. But yeah, that's what we got to do. We've done it before, so do it again. But we need to win, Dan. There's no more. There's no free hits. There's no. We need to win every game. It's between us, Man City, and Liverpool. It's whoever accumulates the most points wins the league now. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah, man. I've
You
got to
sound like
say,
Michael Owen.
Yeah.
Whoever accumulates the most points wins. You sound like Michael Owen.
whoever wins all their games is going to win the league. Listen, Brandon,
we can't draw though. We can't draw. Do you know what I mean? We can't draw. You asked me if we could do a draw. We can't draw. We can't. If we're going to win the league, how are we going to draw? And if everybody else is picking up 3 points, what are we going to do?
We can draw against.
We can draw, Brandon. Do you think we can draw?
You can't. No, you can't put it into the opposition's hands.
We can't afford to draw. We can't afford to draw against City. Definitely not. We have to win that game. I think a draw is bad for both teams. I already said last week, I make Liverpool my favourites to win the league at the moment, because as things stand, they've got players coming back from injury. As things stand, us and City are both in the Champions League. We both got tough draws in the Champions League, so we've got that to focus on as well as the fact that we can't afford to drop many points, if any points, in the Premier League. Liverpool got a reasonable tie in the Europa League. They've got it, a lot easier than what we have. So, and again, we go back to the whole squad thing. At this current moment in time, they're doing it with players like Bobby Clark, I forget half the kids that play for Liverpool, but the level hasn't dropped. So, Klopp's using his squad really, really well, and he can continue to do that, because now that them kids have won him the League Cup, they've shown that they can maintain that level in the Premier League. If Liverpool happen to have a few injuries, he knows that these players can come in and maintain the level as well. So, and like Kenny was saying earlier, I think it's going to be such a close call that we seriously can't afford a draw or to lose at the Etihad. If we was to lose at the Etihad, then it's going to be very difficult for us to win the league, because I really don't see Man City and Liverpool dropping many points from now until the end of the season. If we can beat Man City at the Etihad, maybe it might be Man City out of the title race. So yeah, it's going to be very important that we go. And not only that, when was the last time we won at the Etihad as well? Imagine what it could do for momentum for Arsenal if we go to the Etihad and win at the Etihad, beat Man City for the third time this season. Then you have to kind of sit there and say, okay, cool. And it might just galvanise these players as well to say, look, this is different to last season. Last season, we had to go there and we lost, and we lost quite comfortably to them as well. This season, I'm hoping that these players and manager have got a bit of fire in their belly and say, look, this is where it all ended last season. We're not gonna allow that to happen again this season. So I want to see Arsenal win, and I believe we can as well, because like Northside said, I look at this Man City side. I don't think they're the best Man City side that we've seen under Pep Guardiola. I think they can be got at defensively. I think Haaland hasn't been anywhere near the level that he's shown us in the last year. Although he still scores goals, he can still create something out of nothing with a half chance. I think Kevin De Bruyne, he's had moments since he's come back from his injury, but again, he hasn't been the same player. And they're two of their star players that they rely very heavily upon. And you know, I've also got the confidence that we can lock them out as well, because we've seen it already. You know, how many touches did Haaland have when we beat Man City at our ground 1-0? It weren't very many.
Locked him
So
up.
we can lock these players out 100%, but we need to perform at the very best that we can potentially perform at. And the manager, again, he has to get it right. And so far, credit to him, because since the turn of the year, he has got it right pretty much 90%, 99% of the time. So, yeah.
Fair play, man. Listen, I do think we can beat them as well, but it's going to be very difficult. Gal, man, I got to pull you up on something. A couple of weeks ago, you said Liverpool are going to drop out of this race and it'll be two horses. Like, do you stand by that, or do you think that they're going to be in this to the end? Because I don't know. I don't see Liverpool dropping off like you do, man.
Just wait for it. It's gonna happen. Just wait for it. I'm telling you guys, it's still early. Like people were saying, Arsenal weren't in the title race in January. We're still here. So you know what?
Can I ask what makes
People can be wrong.
Hmm.
I could be wrong, but at this moment in time, with the injuries that are starting to pile up and them having to trust on players rather than the likes of Jota, that they don't have to their availability. They don't have Allison to their availability. If something actually happened to Konate, you could make a case that their defensive record would go down the drain. So at this moment in time, I'm not hoping for injuries for anybody, but Liverpool are the most susceptible to injuries out of all three of our teams, and they're the team that is working with basically they're it's a miracle that they're still here at this moment in time. I'll give Klopp and that Liverpool team a lot of credit. They've lasted a lot longer than I thought they would. But I still believe they're going to drop that. I still believe they're going to drop
think though, Gal, that Liverpool have the better run of fixtures. I know our fixtures are very, very similar, but for example, we have to go to Tottenham away. Man City have to go to Tottenham away. Liverpool have Tottenham at home, and they beat them at Anfield every single season.
Yeah, I think you're only
Plus
looking at
Europa League. We've got Champions League, so
I think you're only looking at the big games. For Liverpool, yes, they do have an easy run. They do have a lot of home games, but they also got the Europa League. They also have a madman in Klopp who's playing a fully fit, a full 11 versus Sparta Moscow, who he's 5-1 up against in a pointless Europa League game. So they do have things that also work against them. Yes, it favors them actually to be knocked out of the FA Cup by Man United. It's just another less game that they need to worry about, and they can maybe focus on the league. But to me, I don't see them slipping up against the likes of Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Fulham. I don't see them slipping up against those times. But the teams like Arsenal, the teams like Manchester United, the teams like who else? Who else are they playing? If I'm not mistaken, Liverpool. They still have to play Brighton. So there are teams that can cause them problems. And for us to think this Liverpool team is unbeatable is crazy. They give up the most chances out of all three of our teams. They're very direct. Their style of play is the most taxing out of all of our styles of play. So I do believe eventually they'll wear thin and they'll get tired. Where Arsenal, Man City, we play a suffocating style of football, where their style of football is a lot more rigorous and can really, really cost you at the end of the day. So hey, they live by the sword, they could die by the sword. And I believe Liverpool will die by that sword come the end of the season. They might still win the Europa League and get another trophy, but I believe Arsenal and City will be the two teams battling it out at the end. And if we can beat City, they're not out of this title race. They're still in it. If Liverpool were to have lost to City, I genuinely believe that would have been the beginning of the end for them. But right now, just give it time. Where Arsenal versus City, guys, the title race is not won or lost in the game versus City. We're away from home. We're expected to lose based on the fact that City are the home team. We come out of there with a point. It's a massive point. That means we haven't lost either of our title rivals for the season. If we win, that could help solidify our lead and give us a situation over City where come the end of the season, going into the Tottenham game, going into the Manchester United game, we won't be as worried because we could have a gap. To me, at this point in the season, there's 3 games that matter more than anything else. The 3 toughest games are away games: Manchester United, City away, and 4 games: Aston Villa at home, Liverpool, City away, Tottenham away, and Manchester United away. If we can get maximum points or at least 9 to 10 points from those 4 fixtures, we win the league. I'm not worried about any other game. Bank it right now. We don't lose to any other team or drop points to any other team. Those are the 4 teams that scare me. And I don't think we should be worried too much.
See, looking at them fixtures there, I only really see 2 potential fixtures where Liverpool could drop points: Man United away and Aston Villa away. I think they beat Brighton at home because, again, it's that Anfield factor. Fulham are doing all right at the moment, but I think they'll drop off. Whereas when you look at Arsenal, we've got City away. We've got Chelsea at home. I think we win that. Luton at home. I think we win that. Brighton away compared to home, I think that's a little bit different. Aston Villa at home, I'm not too, I think we'll beat Aston Villa. Tottenham away, United away. That's tough. That's tough. City, they've got us at home, so you'd have to say they're favourites for that. Could drop points against Brighton, maybe Villa, maybe Spurs. I think it's too close to call. I really do.
If you look though, like I'll come to you with this, Kenny. Right? People were saying easier, harder. I saw this on This Is Anfield and I thought it was good because what it does is it keys it. So the black teams are the top 6, the blue teams are mids, and then the bottom half are obviously in red, right? So you look at it: Liverpool have got 2, Arsenal have got 2, City have got 2, right? So that's the same. In the mid, Man City have got more, and obviously Arsenal have got more top teams to play than anyone there, right? So it's fairly even-ish. The difference is it's the homes and the aways. And I think for me, Arsenal having to go to the Etihad still, having to go to White Hart Lane and having to go to Old Trafford, if you're going to pick 3 away games to go to other than Anfield, they're probably the 3 hardest in terms of the history, the heritage. Does take form out the window. It can be tough. So I don't know how you see these 3 teams and where you see any of these dropping points, Ken, but I'll hand the mic to you, bro.
I can go through. I can go through Liverpool's game. The only difficult game they got are Man United away, where after what you saw on Sunday, anything can happen. Man United, let's face it, for the criticism they got, I thought in that first half they were absolutely superb before they just self-harmed for those 2 goals they conceded, and then they weathered the storm. Liverpool wasteful. I think Liverpool played to the best of their ability, and Man United keep on playing like pork chops. I think Liverpool can win there. Everton, the Merseyside derby would be Liverpool's easiest game. Everton are pathetic. They're pathetic. It's like Luton have won there. Brighton have won there. West Ham actually smashed them. I mean, Soucek scored from about 20 yards. I didn't know Soucek can shoot, let alone shoot from 20 yards. But that's one of those things. I look at Liverpool's running, and despite what Agal says, I don't think any of us agree with him, but he's entitled to his opinion. For his information, after the international break, they expect Alexander-Arnold to be back, and they expect Jota to be back. 2 very strong players, and they'll continue where they left off. That is a strong lineup. It's something fair. In terms of like Arsenal as well, I just hope Spurs play like they did against Fulham, because that was shocking how bad they were. And I do think that James Maddison isn't the same player he was before he got injured. So there's some things to look at. In terms of Man City, they've been there and done it. They know how to negotiate, these games, home and away, especially when it gets into the championship rounds. So you can never underestimate them. And again, they're playing us at home. They're going to be highly, highly motivated. I'm never going to discount Man City, especially where, Rodri still maintains his form. De Bruyne has just got a bit of je ne sais quoi. And Phil Foden, no one really talks about him that much in terms of their danger players, but he's in a rich vein of form. He's playing out his skin. We've got to play out of our skins to win that. Defensively, I think we'd be strong, but I do worry. I do hope Martinelli is fully fit, because that high line, with the way the Man City are defending the high line, it excites me if he's playing, because I know there's one player I know who can go right through that and create some space for us, and the counter-attack is him. So I really hope he's fit. In terms of like where I think the title's going to go, I stand by what I said throughout this podcast. It's too close to call. 3 very, very good teams. 3 teams who, realistically, you wouldn't be surprised they've won all their games. But the problem is, So one of them's going to have to miss out, because if Arsenal and Liverpool win all their games, then it goes down to goal difference, doesn't it? It does.
Mad.
So you better
I mean,
we
like,
keep on scoring
even
goals.
here, like totting up this now, like, I'm looking, thinking Liverpool might drop points at Old Trafford and maybe at Villa, like you say, or even at Spurs at home. They did last year, but I think they'll probably beat Spurs. So both go Villa.
I
mean,
they won
Arsenal-
4-3 last year when Richarlison actually scored his first goal, and
Yeah.
Liverpool scored in. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, and then sorry, it was the year before, wasn't it? Sorry, they drew 1-1 when it with Conte or whatever. But like Arsenal, I think we could draw at Etihad, and I think we could draw at one of White Hart Lane or Old Trafford. I think we'll win one of those, but draw the other one. Don't know what way round. Man City, likewise, I think they will drop points away at Tottenham because they just seem to not be able to win at that ground, and I think they'll draw with us. So we could all finish with 26 points here, and Arsenal and Liverpool goes down to goal difference. If that's what we're saying, this is how mad it is. Like, it really can go right down to goal difference the last game, man. But Northside, I don't know what you're saying with them with their last 10, man.
Yeah, I think for Liverpool, I just feel like if Salah's not on job, they got no killers up front. That could be a big problem for them. You know, Jota can't stay fit. Diaz misses so many chances. Nunes. So there's a lot of games there that they should win. If Salah's not on it, like he wasn't against Man United, I think that can be a problem for them. Tottenham do play a style of football that can exploit their high line. But yeah, they've got a couple of hard fixtures, but I don't see them getting over the line. I don't see Liverpool getting over. I think they're going to drop out too many points by the end of it. I don't see them winning the league, if I'll be honest. Arsenal, I also don't see getting over the line. I think Man United play a style of football that can stifle us. I remember last season, the first game that we played against them, just holding back, and then trying to hit us on the counter. I think that will frustrate us, not giving us any space. Obviously, Tottenham away, you already know that's always a difficult one, especially that it's away as well. Makes it even that much harder. Aston Villa's already beaten us 1-0 this season, so they can stifle us as well. Stylistically, they can frustrate us and not allow us to play our style of football. Then Man City, obviously, for me, I still feel like, listen, they got the mentality, they got certain players that have been there and done that. They got the manager, they got, I would say, still the easiest running. But then again, is Haaland going to get some more goals, because they're struggling to get Haaland into games, getting him involved. You know, they're struggling to link him into the game. So it is what it is. They found a way against Newcastle, but Tottenham is always their bogey team for Man City. So that ain't going to be an easy one for them. I can see Aston Villa trying to, frustrate them and get them to
Palace as well. Palace away is a bogey team for Man City as well. They always struggle at Palace and all.
Yeah. So listen, Dan, I get why you say that. It's hard to
points off them this year.
It's hard to call because there's you can see reasons for, it's not cut and dry.
Yeah.
That
see reasons for all three. It's mad, isn't it?
It's hard. It's hard to call. It's hard to call. But out of that fixture list, I am expecting City to be able to do enough to get over the line. Arsenal, let's see how we do against teams that stifle us. That is my main worry. That is my main worry with this team. It's not when we play expansive football. It's when teams.
How many game winning streak are we on right now? By the way, guys, is it 9?
How many? What? Sorry.
How many game winning?
It's 10. It's 10 for everyone. I think it's 10.
It's 10. No. How many game winning streak is Arsenal on right now?
We're on 8. We're on 8.
So we beat Brentford, we beat Sheffield United, we beat Newcastle, we beat Burnley, we beat West Ham, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, and then that was the last game we lost was against Fulham. So that's what,
Fulham, yeah.
8 games? 8 games? So 8 games, right? We're on an 8-game winning streak. Is it possible Arsenal could go on an 18-game winning streak to end off the season? I don't think so. There's gonna be either a draw or a loss somewhere in there. Hypothetically, if we drop points in 2 games and we don't get any points from those games, we would be on 88 points to end the season. if we win 8 out of our next 10 games, right? 88 points would be more than enough to win us the league based on this current situation. But that also, we have to factor in City and Liverpool both have 11 games remaining. We're the only ones that has 10 games left. City and Liverpool also have a game in hand on us. So we need to figure out not only a way to stay on pace, but to make up for the fact that they both have a game in hand.
No. Look, City the only team that are going to have a game in hand because they're
Liverpool have a game in hand.
No, they don't. No,
we're all got 10 games left, ain't
Chelsea.
No,
we
I'm
didn't play
looking at it
Chelsea,
right
so
now. Liverpool have 19 games played. Arsenal have 20 games. Sorry, what am I looking at? I'm an idiot.
No,
I'm looking at wins. I'm looking at wins. I'm looking at wins. My bad. I'm looking at wins.
Man City are going to have the game
I've
in
lost
hand
my
because
thought.
they're in the FA Cup semi-final. So their game against Spurs, that's got to be postponed. So that could be a game that could be played in the last week.
Yeah, my bad. I forgot about the Chelsea game. My bad.
Yeah, so
I'll just take that out.
Yeah, you know the thing that's going to worry me about Arsenal. Only thing I've got to worry about is the intensity of the way we play. I don't think physically it's possible for us to play like that. I really don't. So what we have to do is, let's go and rotate in our bench. That's where I think that's where we're going to have to look at it from a sort of like a sensible point of view, because I love us to play that way of playing, the intensity, but with the way we're playing against the opposition we're going to be playing against better personnel than what we played than who we played in February and January. We're now in the business end of the season, or I call it, because I'm a boxing fan, a championship rounds where you've got to factor in Europe as well. So we've got to be very, very clever with the way we negotiate games. I really do think that's the only reason why, because if we think that we're going to be playing with this intense style of play, the beautiful way we're playing with high energy football at this stage of the season, I think we're mad to expect it.
And you want to know something, Ken? That means we cannot be upset if we just get by, because it's getting to the point of the season where performances don't matter anymore. If we scrape by a Brighton away and it's a 1-0 ugly game, we shouldn't be yelling and screaming. We should just be like, you know what, we got through. We keep it moving. Because at this point,
right. You know, yelling and screaming. Sorry, you yelling and screaming. For all the people who get criticised for yelling and screaming afterwards, you only have to go onto X or what they call Twitter. You look at the comments in game. They're the people that you need to be, getting the sort of like the.
Yeah, we're talking to the public here, not you.
They're the ones who are all of that. And then when we win, yay, we're positive. Look at the rank and file of all the garbage they write, during the match. It's shocking. They're effing and blinding. They're calling the manager this and that. They're slagging off the players. But when we win, they're the good guys. And then they go and look at the people who've analysed the game, because we think we analyse it fairly, objectively, and what we've seen for the full 90 minutes. And we're the negative ones. So I think that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, I think the football fans in general, especially Arsenal fans, will be accepting of the fact that they're not really going to care how you win it, as long as we win it, because it's been 20 years since we've won it. And I think we'd be satisfied, because over 38 games, not always going to play beautiful football. You're going to have to grind it out. And I think the next 10 games is going to be examples where we're going to have to grind it out. Going to White Hart Lane, grinding it out, with Ange Ball, whatever they call it, with those 62,000, Spurs fans. I call them something different, beginning with words that you will find in the English dictionary. But this is a family show.
Can I give you guys a fairy tale story? Imagine,
but 62,000 of their fans baying for our blood. They might get in the top 4. We grind out a win there. Trust me, I'm going to be wearing my hoodie, wearing a face mask, and only celebrating when I get to Fuji Park. I'm not going to celebrate when I'm in Harringay. Are you mad? No way.
Let me give you guys the perfect scenario. Right? How many games left before we play Manchester United? Is it the second last game of the season?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second last game of the season. Arsenal have wrapped up the league. Guard of honor versus Manchester United. That is what I need. I need to see us go to Old Trafford and them giving us a guard of honor because we won the cup.
Anything can happen here, Gab. Anything can happen because the end of the day, we would like it to go. The neutrals would like it to go to the wire. They love to have their Super Sunday where you got the real Premier League at £1,000. You got the replica, and they got to make another replica for the
but Kenny, I wasn't done. Nostalgia. Who did we win the league against the invincible season?
Tottenham.
No. Who was our last game against? My bad. Who was our last game against?
Leicester City. Beat them 2-1.
Against Everton?
No, it was Leicester City
that
in
was
2004
and
Leicester City.
98. And 98
that was
as
98.
well.
Okay, I'm tripping. So Everton was one. I remember one of our league campaigns. Our last game was against Everton. Our last game this season is against Everton also.
Yeah,
so
no, 2002.
So many opportunities.
Ironically,
2002 and 98 as well.
My bad.
In 2002, our last game was against Everton as well. Last game of the season when we won it.
We could either win the league at Old Trafford or we could win the league at home against Everton. Either way,
I don't care where we win it. I just want to win it. Listen, guys, we got to wrap up, man. We got to wrap up. Brandon's got to go, so I've got a super chat to do. But Brandon, I'll let you get out of here, man. Because I know you got to shoot off, my bro. Love for coming on, man. Make sure you go follow Brandon, True Gunners TV. Love for coming on, man. We'll see you next time, bro.
Cheers for having us on again, Dan. And yeah, see you next time.
Come on, bro. Yeah. Always welcome, man. You know that. Last super chat to see us out of here. I'll throw this to all of you, actually. It says, has your belief in the squad changed over the course of the year? And also, what do you think is Arteta's best quality and Arteta's worst quality? Go on, Gal. I'll let you go first.
Oh, wow. I wanted to hear what the other guys had to say.
Okay, go on in. North side, go on in. Go on, North side.
That's not fair, man.
Kenny, if you want to go first, please go first.
No, it's not fair that we should want Igal to go first because Igal wants us to go first. No, I don't want to go first. I want Igal to go first because Igal's got a plan. He wants me.
Okay.
He wants us to be negative, and so he can just shoot us down in flames and have the last word.
Well, has your belief in the squad changed over the year? Yes, players who I didn't necessarily have as much trust in have shown their worth. For example, the likes of Kai Havertz, KVR have shown a lot more worth than people originally expected. Also, what is the best and worst quality of Mikel Arteta? I would say the best quality of Mikel Arteta. I would say his best quality of Mikel Arteta is his ability to train the team into getting set pieces, and obviously not being afraid to ask for help and get help from his team, from the rest of his management. Because some managers, they do everything themselves. Mikel Arteta has surrounded himself with a good team. What is his worst quality? I would say Mikel Arteta's worst quality is his ability to his lack of know-how in cup competitions, in the sense of at times you just need the players to hold on to the ball, just let them know to hold on to the possession a little bit longer, and it just seems like we're making mistakes that could have been solved if the manager just told the team to hold on to possession late in games rather than just chase after a goal when you have 1 minute left, or else that Porto goal would have never been conceded. We would have never had a similar situation against Olympiacos back then when we had that also. Late in games, the management at times can be very scary. But yeah, that's his worst trait, and that's his best trait. But yeah.
I'll go next, and then
that was a Michael Owen for some people.
Nah, it's calm, man. Listen, I think Arteta's best quality is his passion. I think his worst quality is the fact that he has cluster of results which just go to pot. And I need to see that stopping, man. This bottling thing can't get us across the line type stuff, fair play. But when you have a free game loss, that can ruin your season, man. That's got to stop. And it's clusters of results, man. And I've seen it every year, man. That's all I'll say. But hopefully he can improve on that. Kenny, your turn.
I think as my belief in the squad changed over the course of the year, well, no, not at all. It has changed because, I think that, this team is more than good enough to win the league. Don't think it's good enough to win the Champions League. And that's just a personal opinion. It's nothing to do with criticisms of the team. I just think that we're babies in the competition. In terms of what I think is his best quality, look, I've never once said that. I've always said that Mikel Arteta is a very good coach. Very, very good coach. There's no doubt about that. you know, his best qualities, you know, that he does care. He does focus on the opposition in terms of like trying to neutralise their strengths and exploiting their weaknesses, which a proper manager should do, a modern manager. So I respect that. I think his worst qualities for me is sometimes. Well, I think his worst qualities is that he's what I call him as how I say it, micromanages a bit too much on a football field. That is a strength when you have young players, but when you've got experienced players, sometimes you've got to trust your managers on the field. My biggest criticism of Mikel as well, and it's just from a sort of like results basis. Under pressure, he hasn't shown me that he can deal with pressure situations when we get into the championship rounds. In 2002, he left me frustrated, disappointed, because the top four in 2022 was ours for the taking. How Spurs snatched that from the jaws of victory for us is just, I'll never come to terms with that. Last season as well, 8 points. When you're leading the title, some people think that City had a game in hand, so it could have been 5. The fact is, you were leading. You didn't get over the line against Liverpool. Yes, it's Anfield. The fact is, you're 2-0 up. West Ham, no excuses, 2-0 up. I don't know to this day how they got a point. And then Southampton was just a catastrophe. A catastrophe. It rendered the Man City game irrelevant, as far as I'm concerned. Even though we were, like level on points with Man City going into that game on the 26th of April, the league was done then. It was over. We weren't winning it. So we only played good football when the pressure was off, and that was only once against Newcastle. So that's a bit about where I think is his worst quality. And I think that's probably inexperience and impetuousness. He's a bit impetuous as well. So he needs to be better in that discipline, because if he doesn't win anything, whether we like it or not, and some people ain't going to like it, there's going to be a situation where the knives will be out for him. Fans will call for him to be replaced. I can guarantee you that. They will call for him to be replaced. I'll tell you that.
Not this season.
I say will. Yes, they will. Maybe a majority won't, but they're still going to be a loud minority. You know which camp they're in, and you're probably looking at a couple of them, or maybe 3 of us who are going to ask for replacements, because that's the name of the game. I'm sorry, but that's how we feel. He's got enough support now, enough money behind him. There can't be any excuses.
I think Klopp leaving, and the fact that we've gotten this far once again in the title race, and we're now also in the Champions League later stages, I think he's well deserving of a new contract, in my opinion. And I think a lot of fans
trophies. So trophies is what we're here about. We can't be the nearly team, because if you're the nearly team, because remember they call Klopp the nearly manager. Then as soon as he won the Champions League and started winning trophies, he's the next best. He's the greatest thing on grass. We have to be consistent.
And guess what? The best way to build consistency is from consistency from the top down.
Go on, Northside.
Yeah. Has my belief changed over the course of the year? No. We still ain't won anything. So, no. We came close last season and we didn't win it. So why should my opinion change based off of that until he delivers me a major honor? I'll believe when I see the trophy on the table. Also, what do you think is Arteta's best quality? He's the best looking Spaniard we know. What's his worst quality? His worst quality that he seems to be the way he wants to control everything. He's like a narcissistic freak. Like everything has to be micromanaged. Everything has to be his way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the way he just runs the club at times does annoy me. You know what I mean? So I think that's his worst thing. I think he's a one-trick pony. He knows what Pep's taught him, and as soon as he has to rely on himself, he looks like he's clueless. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He looks like he has no idea. And I think that's his worst thing. He relies too much on plan A, and that is why he doesn't have a plan B. I think the lack of experience shows that he doesn't have any other tools. If we don't play expansive football, he doesn't know what else to do. He doesn't know how to play another formation. He doesn't know how to change the game. He doesn't know how to change and ask players to do different things. to play a different system, a different formation. And I think that's his biggest Achilles heel. The fact that he just doesn't, outside of playing pet ball, he looks very uncomfortable whenever he has to make big changes. And his reliance on certain players in the squad as well, I think is his biggest Achilles heel as well. The fact that certain players have to play week in, week out. And he looks very lost when he has to really use and trust that squad. I think that's his biggest weakness. But it was a bit tongue-in-cheek with the best-looking Spaniard we know. Listen, it is what it is. I think Antonio Reyes is better looking than him. But at the same time, I just think that he does deserve praise for building a squad that can compete. I will give him that. He does deserve praise for that. Yeah, and whether he's a success or not, obviously, if he doesn't win me a major honor, I want him gone. But the fact that he did build a team that can compete and has brought some level of expectation to Arsenal when it was on the floor, yes, you get praise, but ultimately, this game is about winning. If you don't win the major honors, it doesn't mean anything.
Fair play, man. Listen, we're going to leave it there. It's been a great show, man. It's been a lit show, lit guest, lit panel. And I appreciate all of you. How are we doing on likes, man? We've had well over 500 people in here throughout tonight. We're only on just over 200 likes. Let's get that up, people. Let's make sure that hits towards 300 to 400. Make sure we subscribe to the channel. I'm literally about 29 away from 17K. So I just need 29 of you to hit subscribe. And then we're at 17. So come on, people.
Come on, man.
Yeah, Dan, you can definitely do that right now before the end of the stream, guys. Come on.
And how long have you had your channel? Have you got solo?
18 months.
Bloody hell, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Dan's the fastest growing Arsenal account out there. Big up to you, bro.
I don't know about that, but thank you, man. I appreciate it big time.
I was gonna ask you a question though, if you don't
go
mind.
on, bro.
I want to ask everybody. I put this out yesterday and it got really mixed reviews. And I kind of know what Kenny's going to say. So I'm more Northside and Dan Potts. Who do you think Arsenal's best player is? Not this season, but just who the best player is overall. Because it seems to spark a crazy debate over many different players.
Who's our best player?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Let me know.
It's hard because I actually think we've got a few really good players. Gabriel, if you're talking about this season, I think Gabriel's been up there very consistent, but there's a good argument for Declan Rice. He's been very good. So it's kind of hard.
I would go Thomas Partey.
You would say he's our best player?
Thomas Partey, I would say, yeah. When everyone's on their best form, I would say Thomas Partey's levels.
Yeah.
I'd still put Saka just for the fact that even this season he hasn't been like as good as he was last season. He still performs, man. And I'd probably say Saka. You know.
You see, I said Saka, but then the options I gave were Declan Rice, Odegaard, Saliba. People got mad. They're like, "How dare you not put Partey? How dare you not put Gabriel Magalhaes?" And then they're like. And then you want to know something? The consensus, I put a poll out. The consensus was Odegaard. Majority of the people voted for Odegaard, actually. Like over 3,000 people voted, and it was majority Odegaard. And then second was Saka. So it just goes to show you that most people think Odegaard is our best player. But you ask any Arsenal fan, the answer is different. It's crazy.
You know something? 2 years ago, we weren't even having this debate. We would be struggling, and we'd just probably just say someone like Saka and Smith Rowe. Oh, see, that's the thing. I've got a lot of respect for Aubameyang, and I felt for respect for Lacazette, but I have to admit, and I don't want to upset or insult anyone. I'm so glad that I'm not watching football that involves those two, because I think the club's evolved in a positive way. And we're a better team with them. I never believed for one day that we'll win the league with Aubameyang and Lacazette and that team. I really didn't, because I just thought that team was. I didn't think that team was.
It's a good question, because everyone says someone different. But I just think if everybody was at their best elite, forget injuries, how many times you've played, I think Thomas Partey, man, he's just ridiculous. That's what I would go with.
I thought he was responsible for us competing in last season. And there were times when I think.
Who did you go, Kenny? Who did you say?
Well, the thing about it, I was going to go Saka. Then
Yeah, that's the first person I thought of.
Yeah,
Saka,
yeah. His
thought about it,
actual name is Dylan White. A guy called Dylan White went Partey, and he knocked me off my chair. I thought, oh God, I forgot about Thomas, because it's between Thomas and Thomas and Bukayo Saka. I do think that when I look at those players, I think, you know what, Thomas Partey is fittest. You know, I just think he's just a great player. I just think he was like our main man last
season he was like up there with like the Rodris of this world and stuff. That's how good he
Yeah.
was, man. It's scary. And Rodri, I think, is the best in the world by quite some distance. But to even be mentioned like near to him, I was like, yeah, you're a good player, man. You're a good player. Saka, I love him. Odegaard, people would say
Saka's going to be a world class player in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm probably exaggerating. I do think that Saka, you know, I do see a player who's going to get at least, if he carries on the way I pray he does, I think we're looking at over 250 plus career goals.
It probably is our best player, but like Partey's hardly kicked a ball this year, so you can't really pick him.
Yeah.
But I think if you're actually looking this season, it's a different question, of course.
Saka's already creeped into our top 20 goals for Arsenal.
It's crazy.
In recent generation.
He's going to be unreal, man. He's going to be unreal.
I think once he does it once, I think he'll do it regularly. I do think he's that kind of player who, the first season he gets 20 goals a season, I can see him doing it regularly after that. I really can see him. I do put him up. Think he can get to that ceiling.
Yeah, I think he's got the potential, man. I really do. But listen, we're going to leave it there. Let us know in the comments who you think Arsenal's best player is. It's a really good question from Miguel. Make sure you stay tuned because you're going to be heading over to Miguel's stream, who's live in about 15 minutes. So make sure that you do that, please, people. Big up to Kenny. Make sure you go and follow Kenny Ken on Instagram. Make sure you go follow Northside LDN on YouTube, who's absolutely flying with content. Make sure you go follow Miguel as well, and Miguel Talks Football on TikTok and YouTube. And we'll see you later, people. Take it easy. We're out of here.